Hello and welcome. This is Animal Kind, and today is Tuesday, the 19th of December 2023, and it is 3 minutes past 8 p.m. CET. Let's breathe. This is the dedicated space for all nature and all animals, particularly all those that live with us, those that connect with us. Um, I was not sure what the theme was going to be for today, but right now there is so much frustration being sensed by this being. It's no point trying to breathe it away, denying it, or pushing it away. It is amazing how in the culture we grew up, so at least the last several decades, and time does not feel real, but how much we had to control our emotions, maybe just to go out and function, to do a paid job, and or to get educated. All this institutionalized way of living, that was normal. And how some of us would like to be, or would have liked to be, to do their own project, and it didn't always work out. So this is one of the projects this being is offering, is these snippets of time focusing on supporting for nature and animal kind to be able to be acknowledged on this planet. And I guess the frustration is also because several things, it seems to be several layers. It is once because there have been many projects dedicated to animals or with animals that I try to embody, I try to manifest, and over a long period of time. Okay, and this is obviously for me connected to the second Saturn's return that is just finishing, so this may be related to that and to the solstice. And it is literally an entire Saturn um, movement through the houses in the last 30 years, 29.5 years. This is seen from Earth, but we are here on Earth. So just breathe into our body. We can breathe. We have a breath, and it does connect us with other body parts, and the frustration seems to be felt in the chest area, but the moon is in Cancer right now. And we're not when we are in the week before the full moon. And I was feeling the solstice energies already. The winter solstice is usually celebrated over 3 days. And depending where you are, it'll be on the 21st or 22nd. Here in Europe, it'll be around 4 a.m. on the 22nd, but the energies are already here. And that is what I've been feeling all day. And again, these days before the winter solstice and these days before the calendar year's ending, plus this project to hold space. And I was wondering for the connection as I was listening to others who share their wisdom. And one particular one is this one of conflicts, particularly when you are going inside yourself. And there's not a lot of physical activity. And when it's very physical and there are so many movements of the planets. So Venus being in Scorpio, which for me is very much touching my first house, but it's also to do with Cancer that resembles the home, the mother energies. And with this, really, why is Earth represented by the divine feminine, and why are there so few of the main planets dedicated to feminine energies? And why is it that it is the female body print, let's call it that way, the female blueprint, that is the life-giving one? There seems to be a lot for the last 5,000 years, particularly, okay, it's the Piscean age that we're leaving, so this is the other frustration. And moving into Capricorn season and Pluto being in Capricorn, and this solstice, okay, it's making sense now why the physicality is so frustrating. So it's here to acknowledge that we are transmuting a lot of, this is the tropical zodiac, okay, this is seen from Earth, this is to do with the seasons, and this is to do with the way the houses are. And this is, though, most astrologers at this point in the West view this, I would say 85%. And therefore it is a structure, quite a rigid structure, which will be changing too. And I suppose the animal kind is related due to the stars, the naming of the stars depicting animals, but also depicting elementals, and also the fact that it's going to be the last solstice for quite some time. That is going to be here when Pluto is still in Capricorn, and Pluto is in the last degrees, 29 to 30, and it's going to move into Aquarius in a few weeks. So it'll be towards the end of January. However, the energies are always multifaceted, and so this body is reacting a lot to the solstice and the full moon, and it seems to be to do with the solar flares that we had on the weekend. Today's Tuesday, and it has to do with the solstice energies, so that the solstice is the sun is rising and setting, and it's rising for 3 days, more or less in a similar spot. So for me personally, these energies are here already, causing a lot of physical symptoms right now. It seems to be some of us holding a lot of this fluid. You could call it the extra light that is coming in needs to be held, and it seems to be the more that is coming in, the more the body reacts, and it reacts with a layer of protection that is not particularly comfortable, because the body increases in volume and retains more fluid or plasma, and it is also transmuting a lot of the old. So we are transmuting the Piscean age, which was a very patriarchal one, and we had Pluto in Capricorn for since 2008. And on a personal level, it's not been, in the old sense, a success. It's been a lot of internal learning, a lot of going within, a lot of looking for explanation and trying to understand the self, the whole self, and I suppose the frustrations, because there are so many conflicts on Earth. There are more than we have fingers and toes, and so there is this sadness and this frustration, and how much destruction this is creating, and how many lives are being disrupted for generations, and we're thinking of the children, and we're thinking of the animal children. And there is a bit of sadness here too. And I suppose because we have the winter solstice and because we have these celebrations where we light candles, and because we have these long nights, because it's rather cold, and many of us are in their caves, and many of us may have little chance to exchange themselves about any of these matters, anything to do with the interconnectedness. It seems so unusual to feel the interconnectedness with our animal kindred beings, wishing to bring peace to this planet. So acknowledging nature as having a right to, would nature decide to have war? I don't feel that. So I suppose today my voice is, and my intuition is, and my body is functioning as a spokes being for letting the Capricorn Piscean power over where human beings see themselves as the only rulers, bad rulers, where we as female body types have been kept quiet when we grow up, and families where women are not heard, or women cannot contribute in the same way as their male counterparts, whereas the male partners are often not bestowed with the same values and are not reliable, and where many of their behavior, you could say, goes back to being formed by the experience of conflicts. Where the very fact that the feminine, in most cases, is caring and providing for the young through their body, where it doesn't matter if you are a mammal and being nursed, or it's the egg that held you, meaning with the bird kinds, animals, it is a sad thing that life isn't valued, and that these conflicts cause many to have a short life or to have a life with consequences of what is there, that nobody wants to be part of the conflict, and that the animals and the land that happen to be there have to witness this. And so there is a lot of unnatural, non-organic, yes, traumatic energy being created. And I suppose this solstice, this full moon, this is the second day, 26 after Christmas, Christ, and we're talking about crystalline, yeah, and also that we talk about a newly born, whether it's in a female or male body does not matter, but how this festive season is so pushed into an old Piscean archetype that no longer fits. Yet at the same time, there were many animals in that stable. And so, and what keeps appearing right now is this, the Star of Bethlehem, which is basically a comet or a star with a particular, yeah, it's like an arrow, and the flower, Star of Bethlehem, which is a flower for transmuting traumatic experiences. At the same time, what kept appearing is the dove, the white dove, with the olive branch, but actually this white dove is holding a feather, and you could connect that to Maat weighing the hearts, but really in this case the feather stands for peace. It's a peace feather. I suppose this connects us to many of the native traditions and connects us to all the winged animals that can theoretically fly away from areas of conflict, unless they happen to have a nest. So, well, yeah, it is winter season in the northern hemisphere, so unlikely there'll be a nest. But there are conflicts on other parts of this globe too, so the connecting today and just speaking up about this, really the longing for peace and the celebration of it as part of the winter solstice season, a part as part of the crystalline celebration, and the fact that the winter solstice is because the way that the earth moves in its rotation, in its ecliptic, and the way the galactic center, the Milky Way, the way that this is forming a cross. So please look it up. It has to do with the position of Earth and the sunrise and the sunset at this time in this season. At the same time, we have supposedly 12 months, but the month is called the December decade. So it's, yes, it's the 10th month. And then our whole calendar is out, and then also our whole counting of time is out. And whoever set the zero meridian is the zero meridian, and wherever it, and how this relates time and space, and how it's different with different counting systems. Fact is, there is a lot happening with the galactic center. Um, yeah, and there's something else to do with the moon cycle and the 19 years. So there is a lot going on. And I'm sure if you're finding other, I call them planets, so other sky objects to do with that are further away, there just seems to be so much changing in a positive sense. But the frustration for some of us is that we spend our entire life developing the self, wishing to have inner peace, sharing our life, sharing our beingness, and being these alchemical transmuters. And right now, it feels as if none of our hard work has made a difference. That what it appears. However, many of us, all of us, have held the light of peace, have held the equality of all beings, have held our thanks for nature that gives us everything. And we're still here. And the animals are still here too. And the plants and the trees and are still here too. So really it is a time of celebration that despite all the conflicts, despite all the experiences from other lives, and whether this were our lives or those of our ancestors or of our soul families, or it is in the collective, whatever you're sensing, whatever your body is able to absorb, and you get either pictures or you get words or you get sensations. In your nervous system, it seems to be the air is thick with stimuli that create this sensation in the nervous system that it's been just such a ancient oh, way of being to hold the inner flame of peace alive. But we're doing it. Let's just breathe for a moment. And this whole body is swollen with transmuting, transforming, alchemizing the old and carrying it into the new. It is very uncomfortable. It is like for those who have it like what is called premenstrual tension. But really, this PMT or PMS never existed, just as growing pains and menopause never exist, because really it is all related to what one would term ascension symptoms. Basically, it has to do with our cosmic connection, and you could wildly label it as a medical astrology, or but I would more call it physical body astrology. So the clearing of what we were conditioned with in coming here, being the best in our physical body that we could, being so formed by the culture we grew up in, as well as, you know, our families passed on to us, because it is what they coped with and grew up with, and so shaped by these conflicts and the the feeling of not knowing who we are, feeling at all, even not entirely, transmuting it all through our body. So at this moment in time, I would say any symptom ever felt has to do with alchemizing, transmuting, and transforming the old paradigm. Whether you name it the patriarchal age, whether you name it the Piscean eon, whether you name it the Capricornian influence, whether you name it the power over or you call it enslavement. These discussions about free will and these discussions about being a free soul but limited as a human being, these are all just concepts to explain what we all have been breathing through and changing simply because we are alive here. And we carry all that what our ancestors tried with us. There were always beings who spoke up. There were always mothers who didn't want their children to go into conflict. Really, the issue is that we never knew the truth, and when you have little in life, it's easy to blame it on an enemy picture when, yeah, the whole culture based on propaganda, the whole privacy is gone, and when many things declared as being anti certain values. You could say seeing animals and nature as important as human beings is a revolutionary thought. In fact, we would not be here was it not for nature and the animals. They're holding a big part of the light and a big part of the peace. They help areas to recover. They absorb a lot of the negative energy that is created through modern technology, let's call it that way, which puts ripples through the air, the water, the stone, the soil, and creates the feeling of not being safe. And then some of us sit here and talk about it and feel into the field, and really we are absorbing the chaotic energies through our breathing, through us drinking water or anything, through us eating things from that come from earth, and basically we're in it if we want to or not. But the love that exists between human beings and animal beings and nature, no one can pay. However, at the same time, that is why some of us are feeling so sweet. It is due to the love that this is being offered. And whilst it's a very physical process, today it's the words that express all the sadness and the hope, the grief and the peace. Because one thing is absolutely clear, that conflicts will end. This is why it's so physical, because we create this the nudges that come from the nervous system through our conditioning and the outside vibration. No one knows at this point how or whether and to pay the bills. Basically, most of our bills is just illogical taxes or nothing. Really, we already paid for the infrastructure our ancestors had. So no one should pay for water and oil or air or electricity. Yeah, and really there are already technologies for free energy. So really, the reason we are caught up in it is because of these continuous conflicts that rip everything apart what was there before and then has to be rebuilt. However, until we cannot create from peace, yeah, in every single particle around us and where we live in is the memory of this anti-life conditioning. We should never be in the position of not having enough or feeling poor. So many have worked so hard before us, but where is it all gone? How dare does somebody decide to be governing or supposedly elected or be a leader, king or queen, whatever, if they did not look after the best interests of all beings, inclusive of nature and animals. So we're leaving this old paradigm, we're leaving these old values, and they're not that old, because if we look before then, there has been peace for thousands of years before then. So anybody who comes in contact with a being that holds peace can be lucky. Anybody that comes into contact with a peaceful place in nature, or anybody that comes in contact with a loving animal, shares their life or part of their path with these wonderful beings. And so maybe today the reason for this is that we are simply expressing our thanks to all the animals we were able to care for. We were able to share our life with, that supported us because simply they were there, because they commune with us, because they express their personality with us, because they sit with us, or because they give us things we don't have. And we can also simply thank nature for all the moments we were able to sit against a tree or walk on this earth, or we used the water of the well or the water of the rain, or wow, our houses or our furniture may be made from wooden pieces, from stones and so on. And every time we were able to walk in nature and get a sense of peace and connection, able to breathe the fresh air or see the side of a big landscape. With these few moments, and even if we gaze into the monoculture, it is the love we have in that gaze. It is the breath that we breathe with having inside us the longing for peace, the longing for fairness amongst all beings, and the longing for a way of life that doesn't destruct the natural world and the elementals around us, but that honors, respects, and accepts them. Ultimately, depending what time span you look upon, no pesticide, no pollution, no act of a human being can change animal kind and nature or humanity forever. It always comes back to the blueprint of peace and light and love and cherishing life. It is just a matter of what price are we willing to pay to get to that point. So some of us are here because we're holding these codes within us, in our DNA, in our bloodstream, in our body, and you're overriding those structures that are anti-life, that uphold the fear, the poverty, the enslavement of not able to voice or they misuse certain trends to tell a story that isn't true. We are beings of peace and we are beings of love. This is what is being misused. The moment you have family, you are vulnerable to be taken advantage of under the protect your family from ABC. So while we are moving into a new cosmic eon era or age, nature, peace, love, and living in harmony are the principles. And when we keep this in our heart, other things simply cannot be created anymore. So being in your peace deep inside, even if your body feels awful, even if the mind manipulation doesn't stop about how will you survive kind of thing. Even if many of us are really feeling isolated and friends removed from us, family far away from us, and our sense of living being so different, it seems hard to communicate with others whose lives seem to function still in a different framework. And while our body maybe aches or is just so exhausted and tired, our body feels maybe blown up out of shape and we look ancient, not recognizing our former self. It is a transitionary time, but we are set for peace. We breathe for equality amongst all beings. And we are creating, even if we're not doing anything. It is our bodies that work so hard because they're letting go of the memory, the imprint, the limitation, and the enslavement of these structures that we didn't even could ask if we wanted them. They were just part of life, and this sickness that distorts what a human being is. But we're coming out of that. And so, whilst our body really deals with all that, what is attached to the last patriarchal age and the Piscean astrological realm, really those whatever how many thousands of years of unnatural beingness. It's so heavy, but it is because we're working so hard by doing nothing and just being, because our self, our beingness, our breathing, our listening to this is alchemizing, transmuting, transforming the that what is no longer me. And so are the animals in this nature. So it is all a little bit bizarre. Let's thank all of nature, all of the animals, and all of humankind for the hard transmuting, transforming, alchemizing, and mastering, letting go, surrendering what is no longer needed, and moving through the physical, emotional, mental symptoms that come from that change. There is no need to take action. There is no need to even think. There is no need to even make an affirmation. It is enough to simply breathe in peace. Connect to your true beingness, your whole self, and just breathe. Breathe in peace, fully aware of your inner values, and they're not being told to you by this voice. They are what your consciousness shares with you. Thanking all the animals, thanking all nature, thanking all the beings, and thanking all of humanity for still breathing peace here now. So it is. Thank you for sharing. This is Blue on behalf of Animal Kind, blueroom.org. Peace now, here, everywhere, and so it is.